Friday, November 28th. The White House. Diplomacy is usually quiet. It happens in whispers. But yesterday, inside the Oval Office, diplomacy died screaming. Sources confirm that a scheduled meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy devolved into a shouting match. It got so bad that the joint press conference was canceled, and Zelenskyy was reportedly asked to leave. But that was just the beginning. Hours later, in Kyiv, the police kicked down the doors of the second most powerful man in Ukraine. By midnight, Andriy Yermak, the man they call the real president of Ukraine, had resigned. Is this a coincidence, or is it a coup? Today, we are decoding the 28-point peace plan that was leaked to the press. A plan that critics say wasn't written in Washington, but in Moscow. The war is ending, my friends, but the price of peace might be the total collapse of a nation. To understand why yesterday was historic, you have to understand who just fell. His name is Andriy Yermak. Officially, he was the chief of staff, but in the corridors of power, he was known as the Gray Cardinal. For 3 years, Yermak controlled everything. Access to Zelenskyy? You go through Yermak. Weapons deals? You go through Yermak. He was the gatekeeper. But yesterday morning, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine raided his home. Why? A $100 million corruption scandal involving the state nuclear energy company. Think about the timing. Ukraine is losing the war, soldiers are dying, and the top leadership is accused of stealing millions from the energy grid while the lights go out in Kyiv. Zelenskyy had no choice. In a late-night video, looking exhausted, he announced Yermak's resignation to preserve internal strength. But geopolitical analysts see the truth. Washington demanded a sacrifice. The Trump administration made it clear, clean house or the money stops. Now, let's look at the document that caused the screaming match in the White House. It's called the 28-point peace plan. It was presented to Ukraine by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. But here is the dark twist. Investigative reports claim that parts of this document read like they were translated by non-native English speakers. Why? Because reports suggest it was co-authored by Kirill Dmitriev, the head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund. Let that sink in. The American peace plan was likely drafted in Moscow. What's in it? First, territory. Ukraine gives up everything Russia currently occupies. Second, the army cap. Ukraine's military is limited to 600,000 men. They are effectively disarmed. Third, NATO, a permanent ban. Ukraine can never join the alliance. Fourth, the 100-day election. Ukraine must hold elections in 100 days. In the middle of a war, with 20% of the country occupied, that is a recipe for civil war, not peace. This isn't a treaty, it's a surrender note. Why would Zelenskyy even consider this? Because of what happened in Washington, D.C. 2 days ago. The shooting of National Guard specialist Sarah Beckstrom by an Afghan national didn't just change immigration policy. It killed the appetite for foreign aid. President Trump has launched his America First 2.0 doctrine. The message to Zelenskyy in that Oval Office meeting was brutal but simple. The ATM is closed. With the $100 million corruption scandal exposing rot in Kyiv, Trump has the perfect excuse to cut funding. He can tell the American people, why should we send money to a government that steals it? Zelenskyy is in a trap. If he signs the peace deal, his people will call him a traitor. If he refuses, the U.S. cuts the weapons, and Russia takes Kyiv in a month. So, friends, what are we witnessing? We are watching the dismantling of a nation in real time. The resignation of Andriy Yermak is the first domino. The screaming match in the Oval Office was the sound of reality setting in. The war in Ukraine is likely ending, not with a victory parade, but with a signature on a document written by the enemy. The question for history will be this: was this a necessary peace to save lives, or was it the greatest geopolitical betrayal of the 21st century? Tell me what you think in the comments. Is Trump right to force a deal, or is he handing Europe to Putin? As always, keep your eyes open. The world is changing faster than you think.